Imagine this, a single dad finally musters the courage to go on his first real date in 4 years. The chemistry is electric, the laughter effortless, the night feels like a miracle, until the woman he's falling for leans across the candlelit table, eyes suddenly serious, and whispers 5 words that make his stomach drop: "You can leave. I'm a single mom." He freezes. The restaurant noise fades. His heart hammers so loud he's sure she can hear it. What he says next doesn't just save the date, it changes the rest of both their lives. His name was Zain. 34, former civil engineer turned night shift security supervisor so he could be home every morning to make breakfast for his 8-year-old daughter, Aisha. 4 years earlier his wife had walked out with nothing but a suitcase and a note that read, "I can't do this anymore." No explanation. No goodbye kiss for their little girl. Just gone. Zain never dated after that. He told himself it was because Aisha needed all of him, but the truth was simpler and sadder: he was terrified of being left again. Then came Sara. They matched on a quiet dating app he'd installed on a whim one sleepless midnight. Her profile picture showed only her hand holding a tiny pair of pink sneakers, nothing flashy, nothing staged. Her bio was 3 lines: coffee addict. Book hoarder. Trying to remember what adult conversation feels like. Zain laughed out loud in the dark. He typed back, "Same, except swap books for bedtime stories." She replied within minutes. They talked for 3 weeks straight before either suggested meeting. Their first date was at a small rooftop restaurant overlooking the canal, nothing expensive, just fairy lights, soft music, and food that actually tasted like food. Sara arrived in a simple navy dress, hair loose, no makeup except a touch of lip color that caught the light when she smiled. Zain wore the only button-down shirt that still fit properly after years of stress-eating naan at 3 a.m. He was nervous, she was too. They admitted it within the first 5 minutes and somehow that broke every wall. They talked about everything. She told him about growing up in a loud joint family where privacy was a myth. He told her about teaching Aisha how to ride a bicycle in the empty parking lot behind their apartment building, both of them falling and laughing until their sides hurt. Sara loved that story so much she asked him to tell it again, slower, so she could picture every detail. When the waiter cleared their plates, neither wanted the night to end. They ordered dessert just to buy more time. Around 10:30 p.m., after the second slice of chocolate cake, Sara's expression changed. She set her fork down carefully, like she was handling something fragile. "Zain," she said softly, "there's something I need to tell you before this goes any further." His throat tightened. Here it comes, he thought. The polite exit. The "you're great but" speech he'd rehearsed in his own head 1,000 times just in case. She took a slow breath. "I have a daughter. Her name is Noor. She's 6. I've been raising her alone since she was 3 months old. Her father, he chose not to stay. I don't blame him anymore, but I also don't hide it. If kids are a deal breaker for you, I understand. You can leave right now. No hard feelings. I won't even be mad." Silence stretched between them. Zain stared at her. Not at her face, at the way her fingers twisted the edge of the napkin in her lap, the way her shoulders had curled inward just slightly, bracing for rejection. He recognized that posture. He'd stood in it himself more times than he could count, at parent-teacher meetings when other moms asked where Aisha's mother was, at birthday parties when couples posed for photos and he stood off to the side holding the cake, at 2 a.m. when Aisha cried for a mommy who wasn't coming back. He reached across the table and gently covered her hand with his. She flinched at first, then stilled. "I'm not leaving," he said quietly. Sara looked up, eyes shining with surprise and something dangerously close to hope. "I have a daughter too," he continued. "Aisha. 8. Her mom left when she was 4. I still don't know why. Some days I'm angry. Most days I'm just tired. But Aisha, she's the best thing that ever happened to me. And if you think I'd walk away from someone because she's doing exactly what I'm doing, raising a kid alone, then you don't know me at all." Sara's lip trembled. A tear slipped free. She swiped at it quickly, embarrassed. "I thought," she started, then stopped. "Most guys disappear the second I mention Noor. Or they say they're fine with it, but after 2 dates they ghost. I stopped hoping anyone would stay." Zain squeezed her hand. "I'm not most guys. And I'm not promising perfection. I work nights, I burn toast, I still cry sometimes when Aisha asks why her mom didn't want her. But I know what it feels like to carry it all by yourself. And I know what it feels like when someone chooses to help carry it anyway." They sat like that for a long time, hands linked across the table, the city humming below them, neither speaking. Eventually Sara laughed, a shaky, watery sound. "This is ridiculous," she said. "We're crying on a first date." "Best first date I've ever had," Zain replied, and meant it. They stayed until the restaurant closed. When they finally walked to the parking lot, Sara hesitated beside her car. "I want to see you again," she said. "But I'm scared." "Me too," Zain admitted. "But I think we're allowed to be scared together." 3 months later, Zain stood in the small playground near his apartment, watching Aisha and Noor chase each other around the slide. The girls had met only 2 weeks earlier and already acted like they'd known each other forever. Aisha taught Noor how to pump her legs on the swing. Noor showed Aisha how to make a daisy chain. They argued over whose turn it was on the monkey bars, then hugged immediately after. Sara stood beside Zain, arms crossed against the evening chill. He slipped his jacket over her shoulders without asking. She leaned into him. "They're going to drive us crazy," she murmured. "Probably," he said, smiling. "But they're ours." Later that night, after both girls were asleep, Sara's apartment still smelling faintly of crayons and baby shampoo, Zain and Sara sat on the couch with 2 mugs of tea. The TV was off. The only light came from a small lamp in the corner. "I used to think being a single parent meant I'd never get to have this again," Sara whispered. "Love. Partnership. Someone who stays." Zain set his mug down and turned to face her fully. "I used to think the same," he said. "But maybe we were wrong. Maybe being a single parent doesn't mean the end of the story. Maybe it just means the story gets rewritten, with more characters, more mess, more heart." Sara's eyes searched his. "You really believe that?" "I do now," he answered. She rested her forehead against his. For the first time in years, neither of them felt alone in the quiet. Outside, the city kept moving, cars, streetlights, strangers living their own complicated lives. Inside that small living room, 2 single parents held each other, not because everything was perfect, but because they had finally found someone who understood that perfect was never the goal. The goal was showing up. Again. And again. Even on the hard days. Especially on the hard days. And that, in the end, was the kind of love that didn't just survive single parenthood, it made everything that came before feel like the necessary prologue to something far more beautiful.